Welcome to Dark Sorcery. I'm Alfredo Martinez, and I have with me the one and only Waylon, aka the Sorcerer Ahrimanahsul. How you doing, my brother?
Hey, my man, long time no see. I'm doing pretty good, brother. How you been?
I've been great. It's great to have you back on Dark Sorcery. It's been a long minute. It's been too long.
Yeah, it's been a very long minute. I haven't done any videos in about 7 or 8 months. So,
Uh, well, it's good to have you back on. Some things that I want to go ahead and ask you is, how did your interest in magic begin?
oh shit, I guess that would start from seeing shit and hearing shit as a child and wondering what in the hell. Being raised up in a religious family, all these things are like the only ghost was the Holy Ghost. No such thing as this, no such thing as that. And in different households from foster care, different families would have like different belief systems. Holy crap, I don't even know, some holiness, some religious zealots, I call them. The kind that like to stick you in hot water and freezing cold water to exercise the demons from you, because they're trailer park trash wannabe motherfuckers. But
Right.
at any rate, from chasing away demons and all this other shit to being told this, that, and the other. And I never had I had scary moments with spirits. Like, they initially scared the shit out of me. But in the end they were always kinder to me than flesh and blood people. And I didn't know exactly what that was or what was going on, or what that was about. I didn't know that was magic or anything like that. I was just like, it's a day in the life of Waylon, you know.
Right.
And dreaming dead people, family members talking to you, stuff like that. Uh, Throughout shit, man. It probably started when I was about 6, 7 years old, being able to see the dead and hear them and speak with them and stuff like that. But I was probably 17 when I got into the actual occult, like actually studying magic and witchcraft, stuff like that. And it started with the Simon Necronomicon, the handy dandy Necronomicon, working with it, with the Book of 50 Names, because I sat down and one night I summoned like three spirits, and each one there was a physical effect in a very small room
Right.
that those physical effects shouldn't have been there, like being 50 miles from the nearest train
Mm.
train line, railroad track, and hearing
Yeah.
trains like whistling through your house. Like, that's really strange. Uh, small whirlwind type things in your bedroom. Just really strange stuff that's not, that's everybody. These things manifest differently to everybody. You know what I'm saying? So, like, how they manifested to me isn't going to be how they manifest to somebody else. But yeah, they stuff like that, man. Really, really strange stuff. I, dude, I have no idea, but it just when I picked up the Necronomicon and it worked with the spirit summoning them, and I was like, okay, well, let's see what else there is, and it kind of went from there. It was a snowball.
Mhm. Yeah, I kind of had a similar start in the occult. I mean, I also grew up in a Christian household, um, but from a young age, experienced paranormal stuff, seeing stuff move, hearing growling, stuff turning on by itself, and I'm like, there has to be something else. And I knew the Bible didn't explain it exactly as it was, so I just started reading occult books and experimenting with them, and I realized the power of magic, and eventually, came to where I'm at. But where would you say you had your first holy shit moment in magic, to where you said, "Wow, this really works. There's really something to this."
Uh, well, it's different when you hear a voice in your head and you can hear them and you can see them, but other people can't hear them. But when you watch a car that's speeding at you, stopped with its back wheel spinning, there's nothing blocking it, and it's picked up, turned sideways, set back down, and cut
Yeah.
off, and the driver's eyes are about as big around as silver dollars. You know, that's probably the oh shit moment where it's like, holy crap, that's a new one on me. Because I just kept listening to this voice in my head. It was telling me it's like such and such is going to run you over. And I'm like, what? And I look up and there's a car coming, and it's like, stand still, don't move. So I didn't move.
Yeah.
And then I watched this whole thing with this car, and it said, now get inside as quick as you can. There's a police officer right inside. I didn't question it, dude. I just looked ass across the parking lot. As soon as I went inside, there was a cop coming out, and she had no idea. She's just like, something didn't feel right, so I come out to find out what's going on, because she hadn't heard anything, nothing like that. She just like, I had this oh shit feeling to go find out what's going on,
Uh,
you know. And if there's nothing that'll make you a believer, that's one of them. But that's
yeah.
now that was witnessed by two other people with me, but they're not like here in front of a camera where you can talk to. They've kind of gone their own ways, stuff like that. But as far
Yeah.
as like, as far as like online stuff like that goes, stuff like that, it's hard to prove. And this was back in the days before cell phones, and even nowadays a cell phone, I have one, but like I'm not out there with it like, ooh, I'm gonna record something.
Yeah. All the time. Yeah.
Yeah. I still use
Well,
it for a cell phone.
exactly. Not to document every second of your life. But now what occult book would you say changed your life?
Hmm. Like changed my life.
Yeah, just really changed your perspective on things and had a deep, profound effect on your life and your path.
Oh shit. Uh, or look at it, huh? I could list a couple.
Yeah, I mean, for
They were
some,
kind
it's
of in they were kind of in tandem.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, the Necronomicon, of course, everybody knows that one.
yeah,
The Golden Dawn by Israel Regardie.
yes,
It's a book on complete path working through the spheres of the Tree of Life,
yeah,
through initiation, so forth, so on. Those two books, heavily influenced. I mean, just about everything. Uh, as far as like people, sources, stuff like that, I guess if you're talking about like organizations, things like that, in the early days, I was really lucky and blessed to run into a lot of magical people from like the Temple of the Vampire, stuff like that.
mm,
Uh, stuff like that, being able to communicate with them one-on-one online through Yahoo groups, stuff like that.
yeah,
Also getting to meet a couple of the founding members and being in communication with the heads of certain houses helped a lot. Uh, I wasn't in any capacity a member.
yeah,
However, I was friendly to the temple, and so was seen as a friend. Uh, so forth and so on. That's if I start talking with them, they would, they'd actually talk to me, not act like I was an outsider that didn't know anything. So
right,
I
right.
was pretty blessed in that one, really was.
Hmm. You had mentioned the Golden Dawn. I wonder if you're talking about the same book that I'm thinking of, because one occult book that did influence me, um, and I had fun working through, was the Golden Dawn one by Israel Regardie, where it goes from neophyte to adeptus minor. Is that the
That's the
same one?
one.
It's about
That is
that
the
thick.
exact same one. Yeah.
Yeah, I still have that in my library, and I love going through it from time to time. It's got so much good information in it. I love it.
The only downside is that when you go from Hierophant to Adeptus Minor, there are no rituals past that point,
Yeah,
and that's the one I'd gotten to about 4 years ago, was passing the curse and the grade of Hierophant. So
mm,
uh Although I will say this, in tandem with a lot of my workings of the Necronomicon, walking the gates, doing the workings for 25 years worth of that,
Yeah.
and mixing it with high magic and learning different systems of magic, whether it was studying certain forms of shamanism, so forth and so on.
Yeah.
I was able to integrate it real nicely to where everything that I learned tied itself together in a nice little bow, and was able to understand a lot of what I was doing and practicing, as well as being able to actually have uh, satisfactory results and
Yeah.
have progress.
Mhm.
Uh, but with every up, there's always a down. The one thing I don't think they talk enough about it is everybody, for some reason, when they get into a magical system of practice and study, you think, oh, well, it's going to be easy breezy all the way through. And it's not. Man, trials beset the seeker
Yeah.
from day one, you
Mhm.
know. But
Yeah. But yeah, now you had I know that you are into necromancy and the study of it and practice of it. Now, let me ask you this. How do you go about contacting the death current? I know some people have variations, but specifically contacting the death current.
well, I have to start back to when I was like 20, 21,
Yeah.
working with Azrael as the archetype of the mask of death.
Mm.
So working a lot with the Archangel Azrael allowed me to tap into the death current that way, and that's how I was able to tap into the death current. And in vampirism, they embrace the death current. The death current is actually the step in to vampirism itself, because it's all of a chthonic nature.
Mm.
Uh, but Lila Wendell had put out a little small booklet, man. Westgate Publishing. It was about necromancy, and there's not really much there, but there's enough to get you started.
Mm.
Enough that if you're a sincere practitioner and you have any kind of skill of clairvoyance, clairaudience,
Yeah.
and can hear, sense, feel them, and can understand them, they'll actually guide you down the path of the mysteries of death itself. You can work with other archetypes like La Santa Muerte, which I have a painting of her that a good friend of mine made for me.
Mm.
Uh, you can use that. You can use death itself, like the Grim Reaper type. You can use Hecate Cathonia. You can use any death archetype that you want to use, that you want to employ, whatever allows you to break through to the death current, to be able to actually connect with it. To
Mm.
well, we're always a part of it, because in my belief system, we are the living dead. You know what I'm saying? We're death in motion. Like from the day you're born, you're already dying. Your body's already decaying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Uh, so forth and so on. And so that there are small things that if you sit there and you think about how they are, they'll actually help you be able to tap better into the current, more so than like a spirit. Because if you sit there and you meditate, not necessarily on the meaning of life and where you're going to go when you're dead, but when you sit there and you just think, what is it got to be like to be this supreme being that goes and gathers the souls of those who are to pass on? How does that being feel? What would that being feel? Would there be any emotional akin to a human emotion that it would feel? Would
Mm.
it feel stretched too thin? Would it feel like, would it be apathetic and have no feeling? Or would it be full of such pure raw emotion as to have sympathy for the loved ones left behind? See, anything that you can use to be able to delve psychically mentally, I should say, into what death is and what it's about and what it's like and so forth and so on, the easier it is for your emotional body
Mm.
to be able to shift into that death energy, into that death essence.
Yeah.
And it's what will allow you to actually, it's what does the initiation. Actually, is the shifting is an initiation of sorts because you're introduced to it. If that makes
Now,
sense.
yeah, it does. It makes perfect sense, and I like that you brought that up because a lot of necromancy books don't explain it that way. They may give one method or explain it from a certain perspective, but they won't say, well, whatever can relates to the death current allows you to connect to it. But I like how you broke that down because, like I said, a lot of sources don't break it down that way.
Well,
Um,
the way you really want to do it, and it doesn't matter what current you're wanting to break into,
yeah.
break it down like you would if you were thinking physical, mental/emotional, and spiritual. If you have it in those three layers, right? What's going to happen is if you look at any form, I don't care if you want to do death magic, if you want to do life magic, if you want to do this, if you want to do that, whether it's electric, magnetic, whether it's an opponent to where it creates life or where it takes away life, it doesn't matter. But whatever it is that you're wanting to learn or to work with or to do, you need to break it down into threes. You need to break it down on what is its base principle, its physical principle, something that you can understand. I don't care if it's a rock. I don't care if it's your body. I don't care if it's a tree. I don't care what it is. But fine, what is its physical symbol?
Mm-hmm.
What physically is symbolic of that thing? And then you want to think on or feel what if it is intelligent, like conscious intelligence, in whatever form it is, like we're using death for an example. Well, then, like I was saying before, then you would think,
Mm-hmm.
what would this being be like? What would it think like? What would it, so forth and so on? What would it feel? What would it experience on an emotional level? Okay, that's the second one. The third level, and you want to think of this is spiritual principle. The spiritual principle is beyond flesh and it's beyond what you think or what you feel. You got to put it in a box that says this is alien. It means you don't understand it. There's no way to actually connect with it. It's something you're wanting to connect with, but the only way to do that is from the previous two. And that's how you meet the triangle with the third point. And you can do that with anything.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. Now, related to that, on the subject of necromancy, now, how do you personally go about the ritual of the crossroads?
uh, I stick to the X. I've seen a lot of people, like with the cocktail, they'll use the crossroads as six rows. In other traditions, it's 8, so forth and so on. I just keep it very simple. I keep it very, very simple. I keep it as an X. And the reason why is because the base of all things is what they refer to in the occult as the ordeal X. It is it's the supreme cube, the supreme core, whatever you want to refer to it as. It's a singular point that has multiple avenues. Okay. Now the reason I keep it an X is because you're not like facing west and the line is straight ahead of you in the X. No, you want them crossed. You want to go cross borders. Reason why is because that's where that hectic, chaotic energy is. That's where the unfixed energy is. The thing that makes it move.
Mm.
I have to go back to my Native American roots, and the circle with a cross in the center of it is a symbol not just alchemically of earth, salt, so forth and so on, but in a Native American tradition, it's also earth. Do you see? But
Yeah.
it's the earth of the living. It's the earth of I am animate. Trees are animate, blowing, air is blowing, so forth and so on.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would step out. I don't care if you're facing north, whether you're facing west, whatever direction you consider the path that spirits take. What you want to do is whatever direction you'd be facing with that one, you would have the open point of the X. You'd be between two lines. Now you're always the center principle at the center, okay? But it's the energetic structure is what you're trying to build. And then as you're calling between them, even though they're the fixed quarters, what you've actually done is you've stirred them, you've moved them by tracing the X in a fixed position. You're forcing them to come undone, to come unhinged. It opens the door. I have a particular calling that I use for what I call the keeper of all crossroads.
Yeah.
It by itself, many people have many names for it, and their traditions and practices. If you're a Voodoo practitioner, you worship the Loa and so forth, so on. You have that Loa balance. Like I said, every tradition has a different one, and it doesn't matter what it is, but whatever yours is, that's the one you would employ to call upon.
Mm-hmm.
And then you ask them to guide you upon the path.
Okay.
You know, tell them where you're coming from, tell them what you're requiring, what you need, you require, and then sit there and in patience listen, just wait, because sometimes you're in the right place at the right time, and you're in the right place, and the spirit knows this, and they'll communicate with you, easy peasy. And sometimes we'll step to the crossroads like, oh, well, since I'm here, it should automatically be here. Like fast food or something, and it's not nothing like fast food, and in which case then they'll have you wait, because patience is the key.
Yeah.
So forth and so on. But that's normally, I have my own way of doing it. Like I said, I have the guardian of all crossroads that I call upon, which in my particular personal practice, it's always there. As soon as I open the ways, it's there, and I just speak with it, tell it what I'm needing, so forth and so on. Of course, you give the offering, so forth and so on. You honor the spirit,
of course.
I mean, I hope that answers it.
It does. It does answer the question, because a lot of books will say, well, okay, give an offering to to Hecate, and then once you go ahead and contact the dead, give an offering to them and so forth. But they don't go into detail, and they don't even explain about the X, like you had said, the significance of it. Now, tying in with that, do you communicate?
That's why I liked Israel Regardie, because he says in any book that he's ever written, why are you going to practice something that you yourself do not understand, or understand the meanings and the reasons and so forth and so on? He was just a stickler about understanding and knowing what it is that you're practicing. Like, why is a dot a dot? What does it represent? What does it mean? And what is your connection to it? What do you understand about it? Because the more that you correspond a symbol to represent, the stronger it's going to be in your own personal practice.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to have knowledge of something, but when you have an understanding of that knowledge, it takes it to a whole nother level and opens so many more doors.
Yeah.
That is very true.
I've said for years, magic is awesome, but if you don't know how to apply it in a practical manner, it's useless.
Very true. It's like chasing your tail in the dark.
Yeah, right. It's like connect, employ, do.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Now, what are your thoughts on communicating with the dead via dreams?
Mm-hmm. The dead. Gotta be very careful what I say, how I say this. The dead can attach to you thought was just a dream communicating, blah, blah, blah. You can wake up and you may not feel it, you may not even sense it, you may not even know that you have an attachment or a connection.
Yeah.
You'll just be lollygagging, doing your thing throughout the day, stuff like that. And it might take weeks or months. And shit will slowly start happening that you're like, what in the hell's going on? Why is this? Blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
So warning number one is, if you've ever dreamt of the dead, when you wake up, make sure that you pour them fresh water so that they don't thirst, because that's your life force that they're wanting to drink.
Yeah.
Make sure that you thank them, burn some incense, stuff like that. And, thank them for their message, but give them license to depart. Because when you're dreaming, you don't always have that choice. Because sometimes it'll be like you're dreamscaping and you're talking with them and you're communicating with them and stuff. And they seem like they go, and most of the time they do. But sometimes you have lesser conscious, intelligent spirits that will hang around you because they're looking for answers, but they can't communicate because their ka wasn't built up in life.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, it's not very strong in the afterlife. As far as like how you would go about working with the dead and the dreaming, that has a lot to do with self-development and dreamscaping itself, and that's a psychic skill. That's something that somebody would legit have to take a symbol, use it as a means to leapfrog, or jump from normal sleeping consciousness into dreaming consciousness, which is the chthonic. It's the same thing as being awake as we are now.
Yeah.
But it's awake on that level. Because that's the veil between the living and the dead, between the corporeal and the incorporeal, is dreaming. So when you're awake there, you're actually more awake than you are in your flesh sitting here doing this. But you wanna have a symbol. It can be one you construct yourself, but if you construct it yourself, you have to sit down and you have to convince your subconscious. First, you're conscious until it's so repetitive that your subconscious buys into it, because you're faking it till you're making it. Basically, you're tricking your subconscious to adopt it as a belief so that you can work with it, to use it as a means or a tool by which to, when you're visualizing this thing before you go to sleep, you know that symbol means that your consciousness is going to leave your flesh and is going to enter upon the denser realms.
Okay. Great explanation. Now let's talk a bit about your magical style. Now, simply put, how would you describe your magical style?
Oh man. The go-to word I like to use is chaotic as fuck, but it's not chaotic really.
Right.
It does not order. It does. But I will put it this way. I ever since the knowledge in the conversation of what they call the HGA in high magic, to become the daemon in communication with the daemon, what happened was that I had a deeper, more profound connection with my spirit self, where it hails from, where it comes from, this incarnation, the consciousness that was imbued with it, and then the daemon itself, the one that chose me from the very, very beginning, that has been with me and guided me through every, I guess, incarnation, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
To allow it to further be developed, to be like it, to be likened unto it. And listening to it, following through with it, listening to everything it says. Years and years ago, that's how I started. And it wasn't that I doubted or disbelieved my daemon, but I didn't understand the symbolism it was using. So, like, not only did I study all forms of the occult as I could find concerning the Necronomicon and understanding it as a spell book and a ritual book and so forth and so on. I also explored it so I could understand the symbols that my daemon was giving me. the secrets it was telling me, because I didn't have enough knowledge, occult knowledge, to follow along with what it was telling me.
Right.
And so through years of study and so forth and so on, we found a common language that it could communicate to me that I could understand. But I had to get to its level first. I had to educate myself enough to be able to understand what it was saying. And there's no greater God than the God that was put over us. And that I call my daemon.
Yeah.
I let all the who begat who, I leave that to all the other people. I focus in on just me and my daemon, and then any other spirit that's involved in it that works with me, so forth and so on. But to me, God would be the daemon. It's my God, it's the God that's over me, a good God, a kind God, so forth and so on. And I'll be honest with you, it's never one time guided me into anywhere that got me hurt, that got me put in jail. Never one time put me anywhere where I'd be in contention with the world around me and to where my freedom or my life would be at stake.
Right. Okay. You had mentioned about the symbolism and the significant symbolism. A lot of people don't realize the importance of that because the subconscious does communicate in symbols. And the key to magic is getting in touch with your subconscious. So understanding symbolism is very important to progressing on your path.
Oh yeah. What was it? It said that through seals and symbols are powers awakened and reawakened. Oh yeah. That was some deep shit. But it's true.
Yeah.
It's very true. Not only the symbols that already exist, but it includes the symbols that we make. And if we take into account that, as a certain book says, there is nothing new under the sun, nay, nothing that has not been thought, felt, or seen.
Very
So
true.
if you think that nothing's new, that everything's just recreated or remembered or so forth and so on,
Yeah.
that's neither here nor there. But the thing is that whatever we're doing, it's been done before, it's been thought before, it's been said before, it's been, so forth and so on. But the idea isn't to fall into the background and to be like, well, then there's no point. That's despair, and we don't fall for despair. Instead, what it is to, even if we're recreating the wheel in a sense.
Yeah.
The idea is to recreate the wheel in a fashion or a form that suits us for our particular desires and needs or wants.
Okay. Very well put. Well, Waylon, it's been a very great discussion with you. I've enjoyed talking with you. Anything that we can expect from you soon? Are you going to be putting out any videos anytime soon?
Guys, I'm hoping to be able to get back to doing videos. I've had a lot to contend with over the last 2.5, 3 years. 2 surgeries, one that was life-threatening and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
And just trying to regather myself. For the better part of this year, all I've been doing is doing the work. I've just been anything and everything that Damon says. That's what I've been doing. I got kind of gun shy on social media as far as like doing videos and stuff because there's just so much crap. There was so much crap going on. Everybody seems to know everything, and if you're not this, then you're not that, and so forth, so on. And I'm not about that, but at the same time, I kind of got heartbroken at the direction in which it was going. So I was just like, you know what, screw the sound, and I backed up. And just I focused entirely on my craft itself, because I also discovered something about myself that, as much as I like to share and teach and stuff like that, there are some things that are just for me. They're not for anybody else. They're
exactly.
Just for me.
Yeah.
And I had to get to that point, and so that's what I've been doing. I have slowly, piece by piece, been working on a book in collaboration with a dear brother of mine, and then of course my own stuff. And right now I'm staying covered up and making my own magical tools, so forth and so on, and getting deeper into my own personal practice.
Mm. Okay, well that's good to hear. To everybody, all the subscribers watching, I will have a link to Waylon's channel right below this video, the Black Tower. I encourage everybody to check that out. There's a lot of good interviews, a lot of good magical information on that. Waylon, thanks once again for coming on.
Hell yeah.
And everybody watching, like and subscribe to Dark Sorcery.